last time you saw me, I was driving a little cute BMW.
Exactly,
but
yeah.
that's when I was a small little sporty girl. I saved money for my car in 2 years. I don't have to think twice about getting into my car. My car is strong.
About the boot space, right?
Everything.
As well.
And also this RAV4, it's only the model after this that still has like the wheel on the back of the door.
Oh.
And I think also maybe that the car is rather old now in terms of, I mean, it doesn't look like it, doesn't drive like it.
Doesn't look on the outside.
But I mean, when you put it like, when you see it on paper, you'd think, yes, it is a bit of an older car. As a youngling, and given the environment and the circumstances I think we all live around now in South Africa,
Yes.
please don't feel pressured to go, when you start working, to buy yourself a BMW.
People's Wisdom Zanzi. Experience, learn from it.
Hello Mzansi, my name is Sabiyyah, also known as Smart Car Blondette. I hope you enjoy our show today, watching my baby.
Hello Mzansi, welcome back to another episode of People's Wisdom Mzansi. And as always, I am not alone. Today, I have a very special guest, Sabiyyah. Hi Sabiyyah, how are you?
Hi, Dr. MTV. Thank you for having me here today. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thank you for being a guest on PWM, People's Wisdom Mzansi.
I'm honored to be here today.
Awesomeness. But let's start. What is happening? I mean,
the last time you saw me,
You
I
were
was
driving a
driving
BMW.
little cute BMW.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
that's when I was a small little sporty girl. Now I'm a grown, mature woman, so I needed to get a car that suits me better.
is it?
Yes.
That's the reason.
Well, actually, the story behind this car,
Right.
which I've only had for 1 year.
We want that story, 1 year.
But my mom has had this car for 10 years.
Wow, are
and
you
has obviously
serious?
taken very good care of it.
Definitely, I agree.
And she wanted the upgrade, so my mom went off and got herself a lovely new car.
Right.
And then I took over this one.
I see.
Yes.
And what car did your mom get?
I knew we were going there.
No, I'm-
My mom has the BMW. So she got
Wow.
herself a lovely 320D.
Okay.
Yeah, but mostly because she travels.
Okay.
So the diesel is much better for fuel consumption.
Right.
So that's why she opted to get that.
Yeah.
And Vince does know this, but yeah, BMW is very big in our family.
Yes.
if
Yeah.
I can
My heart too.
My first ever car, actually, when I started here at lovely UJ, was a 325. 1991 model in South Africa,
Wow.
better known as the Gusheshe.
Gusheshe.
So that's where I started out. And then after that, I got myself a BMW 118, a 2006 model. That was a manual. Also great on fuel consumption, which I bought just coming out of Motorplan.
Oh.
So yeah, it was really an excellent buy.
Right.
Excellent buy. And then unfortunately,
Right.
I had an accident with that one.
right off.
Yes, and it was a hit and run. So
Are you serious?
Yes. So someone actually lost control on the opposite side of the road, and then they crashed into me, and then they drove off. So a tip for everybody is to please make sure you have insurance.
Yes. Very important.
Very, very important,
Yes.
because my car was beyond repair. And when it did go for assessment, they said to us that it was going to cost more to fix than the value of the car.
Right.
And also, just not a fly-by-night insurance is
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
So we had an insurance. There was an extension of our household insurance.
Oh, lovely. Yes.
So I had the car for about 2.5 years, and I got paid out the value that I paid for the car when I bought it.
Wow.
So I actually didn't lose anything on it.
And it was after how long of having the car?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
2.5
Oh, wow,
years.
lovely. Wow.
So NB,
that was a
NB,
great
please
deal.
just make sure you have insurance.
Out of interest, what insurance company is this or was that?
Renasa.
Renasa. I know Renasa.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh,
Renasa.
lovely.
Yes.
Awesome. No, that's
Yes.
great to hear. Okay. So your BMW, when you bought it, it was. Do you remember the kilometers it had?
It was, I'd say, just over 120,000 Ks, so not too
120,000
far
Ks.
out of Motorplan.
Right, yes.
And I also bought it from a reputable dealership,
Right.
CMH Menlyn.
I know CMH
Yes,
Mending,
so
yeah.
I got it from there. And also, I had a look around first. So I must have seen about 12 different BMWs in that range. And I'd also taken 2 of my uncles with me because they've been driving since like age of 11 and 12.
Wow, are you serious?
Their business has been trucks. They are mechanics.
They
so
knew their way around
they
cars.
know. And my dad was also much more comfortable that
Awesome.
they had a view at the cars. So that's also something else, guys. Like, just make sure that you take somebody with you when you're looking for a car. Somebody who knows what's happening under the hood.
You know what you're saying? Not so long back, we had a guest in Tabi saying who bought a Toyota Yaris cash.
Yes.
And what she said is that she would have loved to have taken someone who knows about cars to help her in that journey. You know, and you're emphasizing that, the importance of that, you know. With you, at least you knew that. Well, because your family was there for you and they already have the experience and the knowledge. So they were there, but she didn't have anyone. But indeed, the advice to everyone out there in Mzansi is that have someone, you know, to go with if you are buying a pre-owned or used car, you know, because it's unlike a brand new car. You believe that you are the first owner of the vehicle, right? And it's still
also,
fresh
you
in
think
sort of every way.
Buying new cars, Vince, they don't come with any problems.
Well, that is true.
But
Yeah.
sometimes not. Because remember, people buy these new cars, they know they're only going to have them for 5 years. So they drive the life out of those cars. And then you think when you get to the dealership, you're buying a car that's only 5 years old. But it has already come with a bunch of problems because someone has driven it to the core.
That is true.
But when you take someone with you who has experience, simple things like a car shouldn't be doing, well, I'd say in Johannesburg specifically, a car shouldn't be doing more than 20,000 Ks for a year, you know, or
Yes.
between 15 and 20,000.
Yes.
So the moment you start
You are right.
seeing what year the car is in, calculate, is it between 15 and 20,000? And
Yeah.
also if it's too little, if it's say under 10,000, then you know it's a scam
Yes.
because that's impossible.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Unless
So
there's a
small things-
special scenario with that car whereby maybe the person had 2 cars
Yes.
and they were not driving it as a daily driver, right?
And also
Then
they'd be
it
open
makes
about
sense.
that. They'd say to you, you know
Indeed,
what, this has
indeed.
been our
Yes.
secondary car,
True.
or we only take this one out on Sundays for a long drive.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, also a previous guest, you know, Dr. Vince, who drives a Mercedes-Benz C300. He was explaining to us that when he got that C300, even though it was 5 years old, it only had 25,000 kilometers on the clock because the previous owner had 2 Mercedes-Benz, one for during the week, one for the weekend. That was the weekend vehicle. So those scenarios do make sense. But anyway, let's now talk about your current situation, your current baby, you know. So this is the Toyota Rav 4.
Yes, a 2006 model, and
Right.
it has 275,000 Ks on the clock. So I did mention my mom. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, after what?
now
Quick
eight-
number, 18 years.
18
This is the
years.
18th year.
18th year of this
Yeah,
car.
right.
So my mom bought it at a dealership. She was the second owner.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's already a green flag. Buying from a dealership and that she's only the
Yes.
second owner.
Right.
And also sentimentally, my granny is the person who chose this car.
Oh,
so
lovely.
that's yes. So it's, I mean, that holds a lot of value for us. It's an automatic. It's a 2-liter.
Okay.
So it is heavy on fuel, but it suits my purposes just fine because I'm not someone who drives every day. And Vince made a joke about how I went from a sporty BMW to now a soccer mom
Yeah,
car.
I mean, you had a BMW, then another BMW, then
Okay, but we still have another BMW. Actually,
Well,
actually.
yeah, but as your car, as a daily driver, you know, I get you though.
Yeah.
Right. But the
this
reason
car-
is you don't have a kid yet, you know, you don't have a family of your own yet. So I was
Yet,
curious.
yet,
Yeah, I did say yet. So yeah, I was curious.
But yeah, I mean, this car serves my purpose in that I don't travel every day, like to and from work.
Okay.
And also, I love traveling, so I love going on road trips. So for me to go like Hartbees and Machalis and
Yes.
down to Durban and all of that, I don't have to think twice about getting into my car. My car is strong.
About the boot space, right?
Everything.
As well.
And also this RAV4, it's only the model after this that still has like the wheel on the back of the door.
Oh,
and when you
that
open
is
the
very
door, it
stylish.
opens all the way, versus the new ones that open like upwards like a normal boot, so you're a bit limited for space. So I'm two-minded about upgrading my baby because
Right.
she's still in an excellent condition and low mileage and space.
Yeah, and drives so well, right?
And drives
Yeah,
well.
I must say, I must commend you. It was smart of you when your mom needed a change, instead of getting rid of this and then she buys another car.
Well,
you're like,
I mean,
let me take
all
this
the credit
and
can't go to me. It was actually my dad's idea.
Oh,
my
is it?
smarty pants father.
Right.
Because we were looking. So I was actually looking because, in fact, since I started driving, I always wanted a Toyota Rav, but like the TRD.
oh, really? Interesting.
That's the one I always wanted. And I mean, those cars are extremely high risk as well. So when we started looking for myself, I was looking at those, and then my dad was like, but your mom said she's selling her car, just take over it. My uncles know the car, you know, they've always been the ones to take care of the service. We have, I want to say, a family mechanic, if I can call him that.
I see.
So we have at least two people who know this car inside out.
Right.
So even if I take it somewhere else and they say to me, hey, you know, like the steering rack, my uncle can come and be like, no, this was done, you know.
Right.
It's not that.
I see you also know your way around cars.
You know, Vince, growing up amongst people who are so involved with cars,
Right.
you learn.
Yes.
And especially, I think my dad also gave me the wings in that sense. When I was looking for my second BMW,
Okay.
my dad said to me, okay, well, you go look for your car.
Okay.
And then when you're ready, you come and tell me.
I see.
So I had to go out and do all the research. I was now looking at mileage and looking at year models and now looking at dealerships and, you know, things like that. And I think that's how you learn. You become more experienced. And then when you actually go and see the cars, you realize, hey, like, no, this is, I'm not say a scam, but like, this is too good to be true. You know, and then when you actually take the cars for a test drive, you realize, oh no, so that's why it's such a low price, because maybe inside, if they've taken a picture of the seats, they don't show you that the seats are particularly worn out, or something as, I don't want to say simple, but something also like the thread on tires. You know, maybe they're selling
Right.
the car because it's time to change tires.
Right,
Like, this
yes.
car has
Yeah.
like really big tires.
Yes.
You know, nowadays
So
I
that
don't think
means
you pay
expensive.
under, yes, you pay at least 2,500 to maybe 4,000 for a tire.
Yeah.
So
4,000 sounds right.
when you start looking, you take those kind of things into account. Yes.
I agree. Awesome. All right, Sabiyyah, now let's talk about what are the 3 things you like about your current baby and 3 things you don't like about this current baby.
I love that it's black.
Ooh.
It has a really lovely look on the road.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and my mom actually misses that. Like when we drive together, she always likes to drive behind me and she says, oh, I love the way this car looks.
As I was saying, that the back of the car, I just love it.
And I love the interior. Well, that's actually, I'd say, thanks to my mom who looked after the car for all these years, you know.
Yeah.
Still
It is a
in
beautiful
mint
interior.
condition.
Yes. It was a
And-
premium interior for the car when it was still new. So
And I love that I don't have to really worry about potholes because it's a big car with big tires. So obviously I don't drive into the potholes.
So there goes a friend of Dr. Matapelo. I'm guessing you will also say you can see them when they're still far and then you maneuver around them.
And yes, I mean, I am a little bit higher in this car, you know, versus the other
Compared
car.
the BMWs.
So it gives me a little bit of an advantage to spot them more easily. So, yeah.
Right. Unlike us in our small cars and our peripheral view.
And all you're relying on is the person in front of you.
Yeah, that's so true.
When you see them going this way, you're like, oh,
it happened as I was driving here this morning. Literally, someone in front of me did that, and I was like, okay,
I
do that. And when I got there, I saw it was a big pot. I was like, thank you.
So yeah, that's the things I really love about this car.
Yeah.
The three things I'd say that I don't, not that I don't particularly like, or I'd say maybe are cons.
The list, you like them, the list?
Yes.
Right.
It is heavy on fuel. I mean, it's an automatic. It's a 4-wheel drive. It's a big car. I'd say it's a 55-liter tank. So I spend about 1,000 rand at the moment filling the tank, and the mileage is not so great. I only get about 550 k's. But yeah, that's not ideal. Versus my mom, who drives an automatic as well.
Right.
And I mean, it's a BMW.
And what's the tank
but
there?
It's a diesel, also a 55 liter.
Right. And now
she gets about 850 k's.
Wow.
So
wow. That's an additional 300.
That's a big difference.
Yes.
And that's even on everyday driving.
And it's a BMW versus a Toyota.
Yes, exactly. You know, but then also to maintain that car is a lot more expensive than to maintain this car. So it's a balance of, yes, it's the balance. It's like, am I gonna settle for going with a car that has a lower fuel consumption but is less expensive to maintain versus one like that? So yeah, I'd say the fuel consumption, also that it's not very powerful because it's an automatic and it's only a 2-liter. So I'm more, well, I mean, it suits me fine because I'm a left lane speed limit driver. You'll never find me flying on the right lane, cutting in. I'm not that person.
Right.
So I think that's a little bit of a con, especially like if you're like doing an uphill or trying to get over a truck. And so yeah, I'd say that's a little bit of a con. And I think also maybe that the car is rather old now in terms of, I mean, it doesn't look like it, doesn't drive like it.
Doesn't look on the outside.
But I mean, when you put it like, when you see it on paper, you'd think, yes, it is a bit of an older car.
I mean,
so,
it is on its 18th year.
Yes.
That's old.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a bit about the finances now. Okay. You've already mentioned that a full tank costs you 1,000 rands, right? Let's talk. Indulge us about, say, the insurance on an 18-year-old car. I'm curious about that.
So, if I can just say that even though it's 1,000 rand to fill the tank, I only fill about 2 or 2.5 tanks a month because I don't do that much driving.
Sounds like you do, but it's because you don't get a lot of mileage.
Because my mom and I, we share cars.
Oh, okay,
so
I see.
It depends who needs to go where.
I see. All right.
We take whichever car. So depending also on the area or how far we're driving or whatever the case may be, there's certain places this car can't go and there's certain places my mom's car can't go. So yeah, we usually exchange. So that's, I think, also how we've managed to balance finances in terms of fuel between her car and my car. So it doesn't feel as strenuous for me. So on this car, insurance at the moment is about 400, I'd say 400, 450.
Wow.
Which is not too bad, but also remember when we take out insurance like with household insurance.
Okay.
And I'd say I'd have my family to thank for that, you know, like my mom, my dad, my uncles, because we have a long history of taking out insurance.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So even when I had my PM, my dad had taken it out on his household insurance, and then I was like the second or third car that we had added. So I was actually paying less insurance on my BM than I'm paying on this car.
Wow.
Yes. So also the history is important.
Yes, indeed.
So that's
no
another
gaps
thing. Yes. So when you're taking out insurance, like think of it also as a long-term, I almost want to say an investment.
Yes.
So when you're changing your car, try and keep the insurance company.
Yes.
You know, and then you stay in good standing with them.
Yes.
And credit score is everything.
Of course.
You know,
Yes.
the better your credit score, the less your insurance is.
Indeed.
Things like that.
Yes, yeah, because they see that you're not a risk. You're not someone, who might do something funny for the purpose of a claim.
Yes.
That is true. And yeah, I mean, household insurance, we've never spoken about that as yet in this channel, but that's also another thing, you know. I have come across people who have a beautiful fancy car, paying a lot of money on insurance, but they their household contents are not insured.
Yes.
They've got a 65-inch TV in their house, they've got amazing furniture, not insured.
So I think we've spoken about this like extensively in our personal capacity.
Yes, off camera.
Quickly,
Yes.
it's so important, I think, in South Africa, the culture and the lifestyle we are just moving towards showing people that we have expensive things.
Yes.
And
not
we
take care of
actually
those
need to
things.
move away from that. So if I can tell you with Mike, with the 2 cars that I bought myself,
Right.
I saved up all the money that I needed and I bought
Impressive.
my cars cash.
Yes.
Well, in fact, even this one, my dad helped me out with a lump sum of which I was able to pay him off both times. And I think maybe that's something we need to think about for the next generation.
Exactly.
Is
Yes.
that we make things easier for them by having money on hand.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would have been paying, say, a 2,000 Rand installment on this 18-year-old car.
Yes. Yeah.
So we had the discussion. My dad was like, look, I can help you out with this amount of money. You come to the party with the rest. And also because I was purchasing it from my mom, my uncle was very helpful in that, okay, it's fine, take the car and then you pay us off over the next 6 months or whatever. Versus having to go to the bank and then...
Yes. I like how on that as well you're addressing entitlement. The fact that no, seriously. The fact that the car is your mom's doesn't mean that you just have to take it.
No,
right?
absolutely
Yeah,
not. She wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, you had to buy it from your mom.
Yes.
I like that. But anyway, let's continue with costs. So insurance, so you've covered fuel. What else?
I'd say big things is like, well, luckily for me, my mom had also, just before I taken over the car from her, which is also important, I think, when you're buying a car for the first time, you need to know when they've changed tires. You need to know when they've done their last service. You need to know, like, those small things. Well, it's not actually small things when they add up.
Yes.
When the brakes have been
You are
done,
spot on,
like, even if you take it for a drive and you're like, okay, there's a little vibration here, you need to find out what's going on. When was the last time they had looked at this, So for me, it was an advantage that my mom had recently. She had just had the brakes done, I'd say about 6 months before I purchased the car from her. She had just had the service done. So there was a lot of small things that were already done. And the thread on the tires was still very good. So for me, I didn't have to go into now another 15,000 Rand of expenses of a service and brakes and tires. Oh, all those things were already just done.
I see.
Yes.
Interesting. Wow. I've learned so much from you today. Seriously.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I can't think of any other question I haven't asked you, but maybe let me ask you. Yeah, you have this
dream car.
like where to from here? Where to from here?
So I would love to upgrade my Rav to
Right.
another Rav.
Okay.
But
Wow, you've really loved this car, if that's the case.
But I'm so conflicted because this car has sentimental value. It's the one that my granny chose for us, And my mom has had it for 10 years. It's given us excellent service. I don't know, I don't even know how many hundreds of trips she's done to Durban with this car. We've been everywhere with it. So yeah, and also, like I was explaining to you earlier about the boot space, the new Ravs, they don't come with like the signature wheel on the back anymore.
Yes.
The boot is a bit different, so the space is limited. So yeah, I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
I'm thinking about that, but we'll see.
I guess we'll find out when you come back
on the
with
next
your
episode, when I'm here again. Yes,
with your
maybe
car
I'll come with my
to
new
be a
baby.
surprise. Awesome. I love that. Do you have any advice? 1-2 sentences for the viewers?
I would love to say, actually, especially as a youngling, and given the environment and the circumstances I think we all live around now in South Africa,
Yes.
please don't feel pressured to go when you start working to buy yourself a BMW. Or to even buy yourself like a brand new Polo, you can't afford.
Wait.
You can't afford an installment of 5,000 Rand. And
That's a minimum that people are paying.
And after 5,000 Rand installment, you have insurance. There's
You have
maintenance
maintenance.
things that comes up. Nowadays, insurance don't even cover tires because
yes,
it's not
yes.
worth their while.
True.
Because
Yeah,
everybody's
windscreen
getting
and tire
punctures.
there.
Yes, everybody's getting punctures from potholes.
Yes.
I'd say take your time, save your money, you know. And yes, 100,000 Rand is a lot to save, but think about all the other things that you spend money on. You know, if you look at it, you can easily save that money. I saved money for my car in 2 years, you know, in 2 years. So it can be done. I'd advise everybody to, your first car, a second-hand one, but obviously take somebody with you that has experience.
Yes.
Look around. We look for at least 3 to 6 months. At least 3 to 6 months we are looking and actively looking every day, and we're going out and we're seeing cars and we're test driving them.
Because buying a car is a process, as Muzisambo always says.
It is.
Yeah.
And a car is a liability, but if you buy it the right way, it can be an asset. It can be an asset.
I agree.
And cash. Just go for cash and make sure you have insurance. And no balloon payments.
Yes,
Say no to balloon payments.
you said all the right things, Sabiyyah. Awesome.
So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you very much. I
you
really
for having
appreciate
me.
you being a guest. You're an excellent guest, I must say.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today, Mzansi. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, but importantly, that you've learned something from this episode. Adios, muchachos. See you in the next one.
Yay!
Okay.